Welcome to Grounding Ascension, where we explore topics around activating and integrating our I am presence, coming back to our true selves. I am your host, Celeste Glus. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode. This episode is in response to something that has come to my attention within the past 2 days. And I think it is really important for us as women to come together, to educate ourselves, and to most importantly, talk about this and share this with other women. So I'm going to be talking about what people are referring to as shedding. Now, this podcast has two sort of main things I want you to leave with. One is the reason why womb wisdom, why tapping into the cyclical aspect of your being and what the womb actually represents in your life. On the other hand, it's also going to be interlaced with what happens when these things that we actually don't even know about, right? Because we're not taught the role of the womb for the most part. So when we're not taught something, we don't know about it, how could we possibly know when it's taken away? We've never actually brought any awareness to it. So my deepest intention for you at this episode is to leave you with an understanding of why this topic is so important at this time, outside of any judgment or opinions about the political aspect of this conversation, which I don't care to put any energy on. And that political aspect is in regards to the widespread distribution of the shot. So no opinions and no judgments is going to go into that specific topic. My intention, again, is to give you the education that you need to know about the effects on your womb and how this may or may not impact your very literal divine human essence, the divinity that is you, that is connected to source, that is holding the potential of all that you are. So within the last 2 days, I came across a woman's social media account on Instagram. If you'd like to check it out, it is kim.alberts. I will link that in the show notes. And she is documenting a tremendous amount of accounts of women who are experiencing detrimental effects to their menstrual cycle and to their pregnancies most specifically. And when I say detrimental effects, it starts off on a very subtle place where your cycle begins to be late by a few days. But that's not my focus here, because we can talk about many different things that can cause that. I am talking about severe, let's say, symptoms of a cycle or a pregnancy that has been disturbed with. So let me backtrack for a moment and give you a little bit of a breakdown if you're new to this podcast, or just a reminder of really what you need to know about your womb and your menstrual cycle, and why this is really, really important to understand at this time. So what is happening is that women who are choosing not to get the shot are, of course, because of routines and families and work, spending time around a lot of people who do have the shot. And this is what they are calling shedding, as the effects of almost like a leakage of those around them. And these women are seeing effects on their menstrual cycle and also in their pregnancies. Now, what does this mean for us? I'm going to give you the energetic perspective of the womb and the menstrual cycle, and what happens when, as a collective society, our womb and our cycles are sort of disturbed or messed around with, to put it in very simple and kind words. Okay. And I'm not talking about the repression of the womb. That's an old, story that, has happened, but this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the repression of the womb. We're talking about the literal manipulation and I guess you can say obstruction, if that's the right word, when you deter something that's a natural function in the body from its natural duties. Now, let's be clear about something. When I talk about the womb, I'm not talking about only the physical aspect of it, right? I work with the womb on many different levels, most of which is energetic. So tapping into the vortex of the womb, tapping into what the womb represents energetically for ourselves as individuals, in sacred union with a partner, in a family unit, and also for our communities, and then on the bigger scale as a collective, right? So understanding really that the womb is like a central hub, not only for our bodies, but for those people around us, most specifically as a community, and then as an energetic collective web of multidimensional information, if you will. Now, I don't want you to get caught up on that, and it's really not important that you just receive what you are supposed to receive. Let's put it that way. So the womb is our energetic center of creation, right? Obviously, we see this in the physical because it is the portal for a human child to be birthed. So we have to start understanding, especially when we're talking about these conversations and these bigger effects of what happens to a womb and a womb cycle, is that the womb is just not a place of creation for a human body. Now, a lot of these topics, again, feel free. You can email me, you can reach out to me. A lot of them I talk at much deeper lengths in the Woman Wisdom Mentorship and all of the work that I've created. So I'm not going to go into hours and hours and hours of explanation, but understand that our cycles, our menstrual cycle, is a reflection of the center of creation. So when a woman feels, talks about, experiences her menstrual cycle from a place of hate, judgment, lack of self-worth, pain, suffering, all of these things that we've been taught about a menstrual cycle, like it should be painful and hurtful and it's taboo, all of these belief systems and this relationship to our cycle affects our relationship to our very center of creation. So there's no division here, right? We have to start to make connections in our field of awareness to understand that when we have an inverted relation to our menstrual cycle or to our womb, right, then we automatically have an inverted relationship to creating the life that is most aligned, that is in highest good of our bodies and souls. So a displacement or an effect on our cycle means that there is a distortion in our field of potential, because our womb is a place of being rooted, of being anchored and feeling secured by our very essence, by our very connection to the universe, to source, to God. Our womb is like the trunk of a tree, but not just the trunk, the very center and energetic vortex from which that tree was birthed into existence. So when our menstrual cycles are being altered, our connection to source, our connection to being rooted and anchored and feeling secured and held by the essence of this universe, God, is being affected. I know that's a lot, but we have to start to integrate some of this sort of at a quicker pace because we need to understand what's happening at a deeper level. And there's really no more time to sort of linger and pretend that it's not important. So before, it was just about the repression of the womb, which in itself has ridiculous astronomical effects. But now we're talking about altering the cycle and altering pregnancies. And now it's sort of like the dark goddess within me. And when I connect to what is happening, it's sort of like we've hit our limit. This is it. Like, it is now time to take a stand. So again, our lives and our connection to love, safety, creation, all of these fundamental aspects of living and of our life begin to be distorted, repressed, shut down as soon as our menstrual cycle is affected negatively by our external surroundings. That is completely unsustainable for any human collective, for any collective society. It's not healthy for our DNA. It's not healthy for our energy fields. It's not healthy for a human body. And it's just not sustainable for the health of a community. So women are already having a hard time understanding the energetics of a womb and why it's so important to come back to it, to anchor in, to seal it. And why do I say that? I say that because since I have started offering Lemurian rose healing sessions, which have a strong energetic component of connecting to the womb and understanding what needs to be done to meet you where you are so that we can it's a sealing of the womb energetically, but it's really allowing you as a soul to start anchoring into the portal within you in a complete and sustained way. It's not that there's anything wrong with the womb. It's just that a lot of clients that I am working with are having a lot of energetic leakage in their womb. Now, this is pretty vast. It's pretty normal. It's actually a rarity to see a woman with no leakage in her womb because of the world that we live in. So we're already in a place where the womb is already energetically leaking. We're already not anchored. And now here we are, the next step, right? Creating even more of a disruption in that energetic field of the womb. So I hope that this is sort of landing with you a little bit more to understand, okay, so there is this energetic component to the womb, and when my cycle is distorted, it's not just physically distorted, right? There's something much bigger behind that relates to my ability to express my gifts, my ability to anchor into my medicine, to actually express my true authentic self and figure out what my true desire and pleasures are, right? And when I say true, like my teacher says with a capital T, when I say true power, true medicine, true expression, I mean it in the sense of taking away all of the layers and all of the veils, all of the things that have blinded us to our truth. And I created a whole webinar on that. You can check that out, about figuring out what is our true desire and pleasure. And that journey in itself requires us to be anchored into a healthy womb. We actually cannot really say that we are fully expressing ourselves and our truth if we have a distorted relationship or a leakage in the womb or all of these things that are happening around the womb space. Because it's kind of like trying to transfer water. Let's say the soul is water. You're trying to transfer the completion of a soul in a cup that is broken. You're just never going to sustain it. It just sort of leaks right through you. So understanding that this leakage and this distortion of our menstrual cycle and what is happening with the shedding has a direct effect on our creative sexual expression, right? Those are one and the same, and they're also three separate things. Our creativity, our sexuality, our expression, our ability to live and create a life that we most genuinely love, desire, and feel satisfied with, which is one of our birthrights as a human being, right? So I want you to sort of sit with this concept for a little bit and understand that whether outside of any conversation about what is happening with the shot, I want you to really educate yourself and educate the women around you and inform yourself and read on what is happening with these women. On top of, I'm not even going to go into the pregnancies that are completely being shut down. So it's really important at this time to come back. You know, maybe this is the first time you hear this and it's just as simple as, let me tune in. What is happening in my body? What is my relationship to my cycle? Or maybe you're deep in the game and now it's just time to take it to the next level. But it's just really time to figure out, how do I feel about my womb? And how do I feel about this process that is happening with shedding? We are being affected by those around us. And how do I come back? So I've been guided to create bundles, and these bundles are I'm pretty much giving this stuff away. It's what I was guided to do because more women need these tools now more than ever. And I'm not sure if you just heard the alarm of the car in the background, but it feels like an emergency, you know, and this is not to put any kind of fear on you. As a matter of fact, the next episode I've already written up is about coming back to your full divine human potential, meaning there's no fear around this conversation. It is literally a call to come back to your full essence so that you become completely unfuckable with. And I'm sorry, but that's the only word that comes to mind at this time. But we cannot take that journey back blindfolded and in a dark forest when we don't even know, what does my womb represent? What is my cycle? I don't know. Why does it matter if it's late or if I'm spotting or if I'm hemorrhaging or, you know, like these crazy, please go read it and check it out for yourself. Crazy stories about what is happening right now with women who are surrounded by people who have the shot. And this is aside from, of course, the women who have received the shot and now, of course, are also experiencing detrimental effects to their cycles, to their pregnancies, to all of these things. So again, this is not about fear. This is not about telling you what to do. This is simply a reminder and sort of like sparking a light underneath your bootay to move a little bit, to question a little bit, to come back home to your body, to the divine intelligence that was created by something so vast, so large, so fucking incredibly outside of our mental capability of understanding anything. I mean, the intelligence of this universe will literally blow your mind and your bodies to ripples. And I can say that because I've been in very, very deep states of meditation where you just experience it and you become it, and you actually just become a fraction of it because you can't actually ever become all of it. And there's no question. So how can we as a humanity try to change any of that? So let me come back to track. To close off this episode, I've created a special bundle. You'll see the link below for any woman who is just starting or understanding their womb, or for those of you who are ready to understand the energetics of it. I am adding the Lemurian Rose Healing Session in 2 of them, and I'm also providing the Activate Womb Wisdom course, which is natural birth control and womb wellness, because we need to all have a wellness routine around the womb. If you do not have a wellness routine around the womb, I mean, now's the time. That's like saying if you haven't brushed your teeth daily, get to it. kind of thing, because that's it, basically. And it's all being pretty much given for free, considering the amount of time, energy, and money that I've invested to create all of these things. It's just, the planner is basically wholesale. It's just covering my cost of creating it. And just everything outside of all the bundles you'll see. It's pretty much the most I can give away without basically paying to give this to you. So again, my deepest intention is to educate, to inform you, to perhaps spark a little bit of light and fire underneath that womb of yours, and to start questioning. And most importantly, to start taking responsibility, sacred responsibility, especially if you are a woman of the age that you are bleeding or able to birth a child or birth anything in your womb. And even if you are not, it is still our responsibility as all humans on this planet to educate and to share what is happening on the collective scale. So I'm sending you a lot of love. I'm excited to hear from you, and let's keep this conversation going, because I think it's really important and it directly impacts our spiritual process and our ascension process. So keep an eye out for the next episode. I will be talking more on that. Sending you lots and lots and lots of love. Mahalo. Mwah. The birds are chirping for you.